You might notice something really confusing after leaving a toxic relationship. One day you feel completely clear. You see the manipulation, you know the relationship was unhealthy, you know leaving was the right decision. And then suddenly, the doubt comes back. Your mind starts replaying things again and again. You start second guessing yourself. You feel pulled back into the same mental loop again and again. That's the part that feels so confusing. You were doing better. You were starting to understand things. And then all of a sudden, it feels like you're right back in it. If this keeps happening to you, it does not mean that you're failing, and it does not mean that all your progress has disappeared. It means something very specific is happening. Your mind might understand what happened, but your nervous system has not fully stabilized yet. And when stabilization is incomplete, the rumination can come back again and again. And by the way, if my videos have been resonating, I have a free Relationship Clarity Masterclass link below where I go much deeper into why this confusion loop keeps happening. And I go into the 5 stages that actually help close this loop. But for now, let's talk about why this rumination loop keeps happening in the first place. This is the part a lot of people don't understand. Healing from a toxic relationship does not feel linear. It often feels like this. You have a good day. You feel lighter. You feel clear. You stop thinking about them as much. And then something small happens. A memory, a song, a text thread that you forgot to delete. Someone says something that reminds you of them. You see an old post from Facebook pop up, or you remember a moment in the relationship from a new angle. And suddenly your whole system feels pulled back in again. And now you're thinking, wait, why am I spiraling again? Why am I still thinking about this? I thought I was doing better. I thought I had already worked through this. Why is it coming back? Was it really that bad? Did I overreact? Why do I still need to understand this? Why can't I just move on? And because it keeps coming back, a lot of people assume maybe I'm not actually healing. Maybe I'm back at square one. Maybe I'll never get over this. But that is not true. What's happening is not that the relationship suddenly matters again, and it's not that you secretly want that relationship back. What's happening is that your system is still recalibrating. After a relationship that involved confusion, contradiction, mixed signals, or emotional destabilization, your system often becomes extremely sensitive to anything that feels similar. Because your nervous system is designed to protect you. Its job is to notice danger, to learn from painful experiences, to try and keep that pain from happening again and again. So when something still feels unresolved, confusing, or unsafe, it doesn't just let it go. It keeps coming back because it's trying to close the loop. It's trying to know, am I safe now? Do I fully understand what happened? Could this happen again to me? Would I recognize it sooner next time? Can I truly trust myself now? Now, this is such an important reframe because then the rumination stops meaning there's something wrong with me, and it starts meaning, oh, my system is trying to protect me. The mind and nervous system gap. Your mind can process information quickly. It can connect the dots. It can recognize patterns. It can name manipulation. It can see the red flags in hindsight. It can understand the relationship intellectually. But your nervous system processes safety, attachment, and instability much more slowly. So it is completely possible for your mind to understand the relationship while your system does not feel settled yet. And when those two are moving at different speeds, this is often what happens. You get clarity, then some relief, then doubt again, and then rumination. And this loop continues. You have a clear moment, you feel that relief, then the doubt creeps back in, and the rumination starts again. And that cycle can repeat over and over and over again. And this is why you can feel completely certain one day, and then the next day, feel like all your clarity disappeared. Not because the truth changed, not because you imagined everything, and not because you are back at the beginning at square one, but because your understanding moved faster than your nervous system and inner stabilization. So why do triggers reopen the loop? This is why triggers matter so much. A trigger is not always dramatic. Sometimes it's very subtle. A facial expression, a certain tone of voice, a specific phrase they used to say, a feeling in your body that reminds you of how you felt in that relationship. a moment where something in your current life feels uncertain or emotionally similar. And when that trigger happens, your system can reopen the file. The mind starts scanning again, replaying again, checking again, not because it wants to torture you, but because it is trying to protect you. It is trying to make sure that it understands what is true, trying to make sure that it is safe, trying to make sure it's not going to miss something really important again, trying to make sure that this kind of confusion does not blindside you next time. So the rumination loop comes back. Not because all your healing disappeared, but because something reopened the instability. And this is exactly why people get so frustrated with themselves, because they think, if I understand it, I should stay clear. If I make the right choice, I should feel settled. If I've already processed this, I shouldn't get pulled back in. But understanding something cognitively is not always the same as feeling steady in it emotionally, physically, and relationally. Your brain might understand, but your nervous system may still be bracing. Your mind may be saying, I get it now, while your nervous system is still asking, am I safe yet? Did I miss something? Could this happen again? Do I really know what's real? Can I trust myself not to get pulled into this again? And when that deeper part of you does not feel settled yet, your mind goes back to the relationship again. It checks the memory again. It replays the interaction again. It questions the decision again. And it searches for certainty again. That is why the rumination keeps coming back. Not because you need more information, but because your system is trying to close the loop. So this is why healing after these relationships feels so wobbly. Not because you're weak, not because you're obsessive, not because you're doing it wrong, but because the relationship trained your system into inconsistency. One moment you felt close, the next moment you felt confused. One moment something felt really loving, and then the next moment something felt off. One moment you really trusted what you felt, but the next moment you were talked out of it. That kind of instability leaves an imprint. So of course the recovery process can feel so unstable as well. Your nervous system is trying to learn steadiness again. It is trying to learn what safety feels like again. It is trying to learn what reality feels like when it is no longer being distorted. It is trying to finally settle what never got to feel settled while you were inside of it. The logic of the loop. So if you really start to zoom out, the logic of the rumination loop is actually quite simple. Your system went through something completely confusing and destabilizing. It did not feel fully safe for a good reason. It didn't feel fully resolved. It didn't feel fully closed. So it keeps circling back, trying to do what it was designed to do, to understand the danger, to protect you from repeating it, and to restore enough certainty so you can feel safe again. That is why this loop is not random. It has a purpose. It is trying to close. The problem is that most people were never taught that closure actually happens. So they stay stuck in the loop, trying to think their way out of something their whole system is still trying to settle. So if you keep having the experience of feeling clear and then doubting yourself, feeling strong and then spiraling again, feeling settled and then getting pulled back in, please do not use that as evidence that something is wrong with you. That is normal. Use it as information. Your system has not fully landed yet. It is still trying to close the loop. It is still trying to reach a place where it knows, I see what happened, I understand what was real, and now I can trust myself. I am safe. That is why the rumination keeps resurfacing. Not because you're back at the beginning, but because the deeper settling process is still underway. And once you understand that, the next question becomes the most important one. How do you actually close this rumination loop? If your system keeps going back because it's trying to feel safe, if it's trying to understand what happened well enough to finally settle, then what actually helps that happen? What actually creates lasting, genuine clarity? What actually helps the loop close? What actually helps you move on for real? That is what I'm going to show you in the next video. So watch that video next, because that is where I'm going to walk you through how the rumination loop can finally close.